Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. So the other day I made it's like a tunnel book. Now we had a challenge where we had to make a tunnel page or something like that. So I had seen a lot of photos of tunnel books and tunnel cards in the past, and they've always fascinated me. So I thought I'd try and make one. It's quite a simple one. I have seen some of the most intricate ones. My favourites are the anatomical ones. I'd really like to try that one day, but I don't think my skill level will ever get there. So I did make this one. So it's just an old book that I had lying around. And I like the fact that it's just an inconspicuous cover. And I left one of the pages in because I like that it said my pilgrimage. And if I want to, I can decorate that more. Then you turn it over and you've got your tunnel here. So just layers of different sized book pages that have been cut out. And then it's just full of stamped images that I have watercoloured, and I watercoloured the background as well. So I did put photos up in a few groups, and one lovely lady asked if there is a tutorial for it. Now there wasn't, because when I made it I only had a day left to make it in, and so I was rushing and I wasn't sure if it was going to work out or not, because it's the first one of these that I have tried making. I have made something sort of similar previously. Last year for Halloween I grabbed this encyclopedia and made this book thing for Halloween, where I just cut out the frames on both sides of the book and then used some of the beautiful papers from Auntie Vera's Scrap and Craft. I did it for a creative team project for Auntie Vera's Scrap and Craft, and I tried to make it a little 3D. And I really love how that turned out, although it did warp a bit as I was sticking all the pages together, so it doesn't quite close. But I still really like that. It wasn't a complete fail. And I really love how this one turned out. So I thought I would get on and show everyone how I made this. Now, it is just the way I've made it. I haven't watched a tutorial or anything. So I don't know if the way I do it is the way that it should be done. I tend to do things the hard way, so just a warning there. So I have grabbed another little book here that's about the same size. Not that it really matters. And I know that I've got 7 levels, because the bottom is a level of pages, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the layers that I have cut out as well. But it doesn't really matter. You can just do what you want and stick things where you want, really. But we will try and do it similar, I think, so I can show you how I did that one specifically. So this has a really nice little note in it. I'll probably take that page out for future use, but otherwise, I like those pages. So what I might do is, you could take any pages you don't want in there out and then just reinforce down here where it might be weakened a bit, especially because it's such an old book, this one. But what I'm going to do for now is just clip them out of the way. And then I just grab a pile of pages. I didn't count them or anything. I just thought, yep, that'll do, and cut away. So I use my cutting mat underneath and grab a pencil. Now, I didn't do any specific measurements. I just eyeballed it. And for this first level, I think I had a border of about 1 centimetre, just because I thought you need just a nice edge to be able to stick some of the outside pictures onto. So we'll do that centimetre. Now, I might see if I've got a longer ruler here, which I have. I like this one for cutting because it's nice and heavy and it's metal. It's not quite long enough for what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to do a line about 1 centimetre from the edge, and I do that the whole way around. Afterwards, I just rub the line off. And now it doesn't matter if you do it crooked. Mine was all over the place, especially when I start cutting away at it. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. I think if you worry too much about that sort of thing, you never get it done. And being old brittle book pages, they do tend to like to rip a bit and that. So the main thing is that you try not to rip the top layer too much, because you want that to look good, but anything underneath doesn't really matter. So once you've done that, get your hobby knife or whatever you use to cut. I use like a cheap old box knife, which probably isn't the sharpest, and I probably will have troubles, but we will see. Now, I just do it lightly at the start because I was trying to get through all the levels at once, and then I do pull the pages and rip them too much. So I'll just go down lightly. And then just continue with that until we get right through. Now I should be able to be guided just by the cut we've already made. Now I can feel the mat underneath now. So just turn it around and I continue cutting until I've done all the edges. So once you've done that, you start trying to take your pages out. You might find that it's still, oh, I haven't cut that side yet. Getting ahead of myself. Wishful thinking. When I was asked if there was a tutorial, I'm thinking like, really, do I have to stick all those pages together again? But you know what? Practice is a good thing. And it's nice for people to like what you've done enough to ask for a tutorial. So I think it's only fair that I do one then. So then you can start pulling your pages out. Now, don't throw these out. I keep these and we use those, well, some of them as well. And I'll probably keep some of these anyway because I like some of the titles. So if you find that some bits are still stuck and they won't come out, then of course you can go around cutting. Sometimes you can wiggle and pull. Can be a little messy on the edges, but as I said, I try not to worry about that too much. So turn those pages carefully. So like in this corner, it's a bit stuck, so I'll just rip it out. That one will need a bit more cutting. So some of you will be a lot more adept than me at doing these parts. So again, just got to cut a little bit more. So I had a lovely day today. I went for a walk with my daughter to the local mount that we have here. Just a little mountain it is. It's a bit, you know, farcical calling it a mountain, but it's a bit of a bump. But still, it's a really lovely place to go for a walk and see the wildflowers and the birds. So I took the cameras out there and took some photos. So there we've got our first layer all cut out. And as you can see, it pulls some of the paper in the underneath layers and you just get these lumps and bumps. If they bother you, you can pull some of the bigger bits off. They're a bit like jumper fluff or something, but they don't bother me too much. And that one I might cut out afterwards, we will see. So once I've done that, I'll just blow all the little crummy bits off. That's a bit better because we don't want to glue them all in there too much. I really didn't worry this much about it in the other one, so I shouldn't worry too much about it in this one either. So the next thing I did was got some, did I use my grease-proof paper? Oh no, I just used a page, which I've got sitting here to stick under there just while we glue the pages together. And I did try a whole lot of different glues and double-sided tape and everything, but I ended up coming back to my Helmars and found that the easiest to do this with. Although I did start running out because I used so much of it. So then what I do is stick all these pages together. So this is something you really want to do while you're watching TV. So I start with the bottom one here and just run You don't have to get the glue right to the edges everywhere and that, you know, and you can just do a bit of a rough stick around. It's just to hold all the pages together. With some of the lower levels, you've got to cover it a little bit more with glue, but you'll see what I mean. So I do that, and then I just naturally let the book flop down. I'm hoping that helps it not sort of buckle as we go. And then I find the page that we've glued, which I think is that one. Run my fingers around so it's all together. And so that's that page done, and then I rinse and repeat until we've done all this lot of pages. So I'll do one more. And again, I just let the book naturally flop down and close. And we've got those two stuck together. And you can just pick the bits off that you want as you go. So what I will do is go and finish sticking all of these pieces together so that you don't have to watch, and then I'll be back to cut the next window. So I've finished sticking together those first lot of pages. Book's a bit warped as it is. Also, what I wanted to say is if you are cutting into the pages and this first one rips a bit, you really don't want this one to break, because that's the one we're going to see the most of. So you can just carefully tear that page out, and if the one underneath is okay, then that's fine. If with others rip, it doesn't really matter because you don't see them. However, I was cutting into a book just before and it was ripping quite a bit, and I think it was just the pages were too old and brittle and everything. So, yeah, if you're having trouble, maybe try a different book or check that your knife's sharp, although mine's not that sharp, so I think it was more the pages. So as you can see, we've got those pages done. So now we have to do our next frame. So what I do is just clip this to the cover to keep it out of the way. It's a little bit annoying and fiddly, but as I said, in the end it's worth it. So I just clip that like that. Open this up. So, oh, what we need to do before I do that is use that frame to see where we want to draw our next frame, Nat. That would be handy. So again, we want to go in now with these next layers. I think I did about 1/2 centimetre, 3/4 of a centimetre. Don't ask me what that is in inches. Let's have a look. 2 3/8. Yeah, probably about 3/8 around about of an inch in. Not quite as much as what we did with the first one. So, and this is where I tended to get things quite crooked. So I sort of followed the letters, but I don't know if that's smart, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I think about there. Just draw down across the bottom. All right, so that will be our next layer. So once you've drawn your next frame, your bulldog clip that to keep it out of the way. Grab yourself a handful of pages again. Let's have a look. We're going to leave about that much for the base. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so that's plenty. Maybe one more. And stick a cutting mat underneath, and then cut that out the way that I cut that one out. Now, I don't want you to sit and watch me have to do every layer here. So what I'm going to do is rinse and repeat. Now, it'll be the same for each layer you'll do, and cut this one out, and then put your pages down so you can see where to measure the next one. And you'll do that again about your 3/8 of an inch inwards all the way around. Cut that one out and do it again with the next level. And do... I've got the outside, so all in all you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 levels, which includes that start level. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. we've got our start. So from now on, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, do 4 levels. Then I'll come back for this last one to show you the size that I make that one. Because that one I do a fair bit smaller, whereas all the rest I just take in about the 3/8 of an inch. So I have a bit of an update on my page going. I thought there were a few points that I should discuss. Firstly, you saw me do the first layer there, and I clipped that up. And then I cut out my next layer. And you'll see there's all this glue around it. That's because I was gluing all the pages together. And then for some reason, I glued it, shut my book, and it was glued to that top layer. Now, what you don't want to do is glue the individual layers together yet. Because when we stick our little bits and pieces in there, we might stick them in between some of the layers. So try and remember to keep your layers separate when you're gluing the pages together. I was watching YouTube. My bad, got a bit carried away, and yeah, I was glue. You get a lot quicker as you go. So I glued and shut, and yeah, realised I'd glued it to that top page. So fortunately, I realised straight away. So the glue hadn't dried properly. So I've just let it sort of dry now. So and then I've gone and done my third level there. Now another tip is if you open the book wide, you can see it naturally wants to pull these pages over. And I assume that's how sometimes you might get it warped when you're sticking the pages together. So by this stage, what I've been doing is getting my empty latte cup and putting it behind like that so that I can sit these up so that they don't pull. And what I'd do is clip all the pages together like that. And that way I can have this lot that I'm going to glue together sitting naturally rather than being pulled across like that. So that's what I'll do there. Once I hit about halfway, which is coming up soon, I think I'll do 2 more levels, and then I'm going to come and show you what I do with the last few levels to make it easier as well. Okay, so I'm about halfway to doing the pages now. So I'll show you what I've done. So you can see it's coming together nicely there. We've got our the one that I nearly stuck together, 2, 3, 4 that have all been glued together now, 4 levels. And then I've just cut the 5th level there. So what I've done now is clipped all the back pages down so that they don't get in my way. And I'll clip all the pages that I've done together. Now what I want to do, because I just felt that the book naturally wants me to do this. I don't know if it helps or not, but as I said when I did the pages at the start, it felt best to just sort of drop the pages down so that the books didn't warp as I went, to stick the pages together. Now I feel just after about halfway that it's best to do it from the back. So I will start gluing these pages down and then dropping the back down. And hopefully that will stop the pages just from warping too much. So you get faster with the gluing as you go. And now the pages, the sections are getting wider here. So you do need to put a bit more glue on. And therefore I do try and get it sort of closer to the edges. So we'll do a couple of pages. And then I'll finish this level off, and then I'll come and show you how I'm going to cut the last level that I want to cut. And then we can start getting into the fun stuff. Alright, so I just do that way. And then I find the pages that I've stuck, run my fingers around and make sure they are stuck nicely. Rinse and repeat. You know, this was really painful the first night I did it. Now that I'm sort of used to it, it does get a lot quicker. However, my hand gets sore from squeezing the glue. You're probably wondering why I'm not using glue stick, and it is because I find that glue stick doesn't stick vintage book pages very well because they tend to be a bit sandy or dusty, that sort of thing, and I just don't trust it enough. And I've used the Helmers for other projects like this. I used it for my Halloween altered book, so and that's stuck together very well. You can see I cut a bit too far here, but it's not going to matter because these pages are sort of underneath the others. Where we do see it a bit, you probably won't notice, and we're sticking some stuff on the top which can hide a lot of the faux pas. So let's have a look. So that's looking pretty good. The book is a bit warped anyway, just because it's so old. It was one that was destined for the bin. It's nice to give it another life. So I'll do this page and then I will do the rest of them in this layer off camera, and I'll come back and cut the last little bit with you. So now we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. Now I just want to double check because I'm trying to make it very similar. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, and then we've got our window at the base there, and then we've got our back layer. So we're spot on. So we want to do this piece now. So we've only got 2 more levels, so that can be our base layer, and this can be where we do our last little window. So I will clip our base layer to the back of the book, and we'll draw our window, which means these are getting a bit big for a clip. Although I don't know, this clips, yeah, that works. Hopefully I won't mess up my book too much doing that. So that will do. Hang on, got something a bit better that can hold that up. Now I want you to be able to see a bit. So let's have a look. Our window basically just goes down about halfway in there, and then is about the 2 to 3/8 for the 3 sides there, and then about halfway up at the bottom. So we'll do something like that. Of course, it depends on what you're going to put in there to how you want to go about doing all of this. I'll go down to about there, I think. Or do we want to go a bit further? Maybe we'll go down one more line. I think that'll do. And then we'll go across. I've got one of these pencils that you click down to make the lead longer, which helps because, you know, it's quite a drop down there to draw the line. Now, I don't know if I can clip that. I'll clip those together. That might do. Now, of course, we want take this one off for now. Put our cutting mat there. I'll cut this little window out. We should be able to pull all our little bits out. Okay, needs a little bit more cutting just here. Again, that's our little window now. So the way I've been cutting it, you can sort of see that you can see all the layers on that side, but not on that side because they go the other way. But that doesn't matter. Well, not to me anyway. So we've got a little window at the back there. So now what I need to do is stick all these pages together, and then I will stick this back page to the back and all of those to that, so that sits on the back. So I've finished sticking all my pages together. Yay! It's the worst bit done. It's a bit of glue string there. So the next thing I want to do is I have a rubber on the other side of my pencil here, so I'm going to use that just to go around and rub out the lines on each of the levels. So I won't make you watch me do all of that. I will just do this first page. Now, unfortunately, I'm thinking because I got glue all over this page when I accidentally stuck it to that one, when it comes to doing the watercolouring, the watercolour's not going to stick to that. I'm thinking I could gesso over it, but I don't want to do that either. So when we stick things on, that might cover some of it up. We'll see how it goes when we get to that anyway. So yes, I'm just going to go around on all these levels, rub out the lines that I've drawn on, just to make it a bit neater. And then the next step will be to start the process of watercolouring our background here.